Thank you Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am here with a video of a sketchbook warm-up page, another one, and another one. I know I keep posting these, apologies for that. I'm just like trying to ramp my way back into more focused projects, and apparently I just couldn't for the past couple of weeks, but that's okay because soon enough I will get back on track. So just wanted to thank you guys for all your positive responses on my last video, which was different from what I typically upload. So yeah, in my last video I just did this text subtitle thing where I was talking about my recent issues. Well, not so recent, honestly. It kind of spanned across my life, sort of, but culminated in recent issues. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for so many thoughtful and kind responses from you guys. I read every single comment, and I am sorry that I couldn't respond to everybody. I'll try to get around to responding to some more comments when I have more time. And yeah, it was kind of a toss-up for me to do that. I didn't really plan to make that video at all. I basically got stuck in this place where I was trying to record like the usual regular type of voiceovers that I do with just some updates, and my mind just kept darting back and forth between the stuff that was actually happening that I didn't really want to talk about, but I felt like I couldn't get around, or I couldn't pretend like that wasn't happening and just simply cheerily talk about all the other stuff that's adjacent. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I just need to get it out of my system so that I could just move on with my life and be able to talk about things without feeling like I just kind of suppressed and ignored some of the stuff that was happening over the last a long while. Yeah, it was a long while. And I just want to say to all of you who read the all the text in my previous video, I really did condense the crap out of that story. Like, it was, I don't know, like if I if I told the full story with like all the details and stuff, and because I mean, man, it's like you can't even make it up. Like, there were so many things happened that I omitted that just made it like completely bizarre. And yeah, I don't know why I'm saying this, but yeah, I mean, just so you guys know, that was not the popcorn version. That was like the extraordinarily condensed version of events. But yeah, like I said at the end, or like I typed at the end of that video, like I do feel like I'm in a better place now, and I'm just like on the cusp of moving, and I think moving is just such a big step in my life, and I'm extremely excited about it. Honestly, it just can't come soon enough. But yeah, and another thing I wanted to say about my previous video is one thing that I didn't really think about and didn't really anticipate, I guess, didn't really cross my mind, like as far as my purpose when it comes to making that video. It was mostly just getting things off my chest, just helping me get over the hump that I was stuck in this rumination cycle. And a lot of you probably would know what that's like, when you just can't stop thinking about something and your mind just keeps going back, and like basically just being stuck on one particular circumstance that's happening, or one unresolved issue, and you just can't move on. Anyways, I was just using that video to kind of put a coherent narrative down on paper, or not on paper, into the video to help me just conclude it in my head, which it honestly helped. Like, it helped a lot more than I even expected. I haven't really thought about it that much since then, and it meant a lot to read all the comments that you guys left, sharing like the experiences some of you guys have had, which, you know, it's never pleasant, but it does help a lot to know that other people experience similar things, and you know, it's a good thing, and a lot of people come out the other side for the better. But first, before I continue, I'm just going to take a quick minute to tell you about this video sponsor, Squarespace. As a freelance illustrator, having a website that showcases my work is super important, but it's also just another thing that takes up precious time in an already hectic schedule. Ever since I tried out Squarespace though, it actually made it way less daunting to upkeep my website because of how easy it was to set it up in the first place and how quickly I can make updates whenever I have new work to add. It honestly takes seconds, and the automatic image scaling feature takes care of everything for me, so I don't need to worry about the size of the images matching up before I add them to my portfolio. Everything looks professional with minimum effort and time. It's also super easy to link up your shop to the site if you already have one, or you can build a shop from scratch directly in Squarespace under the Commerce tab. You can purchase a unique domain name for your website as well by just looking it up directly in Squarespace under Settings, Domains. Doing this for my previous websites was actually way more complicated by comparison, and I had to look up a tutorial, but this I managed to do in mere minutes without even leaving the platform. If you want to try it out for yourself and make a website portfolio, you can head to squarespace.com and sign up for a free trial. Once you're ready to launch your website, you can go to squarespace.com/cosmicspectrumart for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, squarespace.com/cosmicspectrumart for 10% off. And now back to the video. And so yeah, this what I was gonna say was that I didn't expect to see a lot of comments from younger people who are kind of in a similar situation, but but still feeling really stuck and kind of helpless, I guess. And I wanted to address some of those comments because I know that I didn't get to reply to all of them, and I just wanted to say, firstly, I'm so sorry that you feel like you're stuck, and I know that it can be so terrible to feel trapped in the situation, especially when the person who you perceive to be, you know, causing you harm, or at least mental harm, is a parent or a guardian or like a close person that you can't really separate yourself from. But I just wanted to, I mean, I don't know if I want to go as far as to give advice, but I just wanted to say that obviously everyone's situation is completely different, and I know that relationships can be difficult with parents, but if you just, you know, stick to your guns and, you know, wait it out, once you get out from under their roof, you can begin to mend the relationship with them, and you can just be on your own and make your way and pave your way, and, you know, you can find success if you try your best. I know that sounds so, I don't know, I'm not very good at giving advice, but I just wanted to say that it does get better. Like, I mean, see, the reason why I'm having a hard time formulating something useful to say right now is that I personally don't think like my situation was ever super dire. I did have a lot of emotional problems when I was younger, but the thing is that I wasn't even fully aware of them until like way later on. So I really sympathize with those of you who have zeroed in on your issues when you're still kind of stuck. So by the time I realized most of my issues, I was already kind of on my own. So yeah, there's a little bit of a difference there, but you know, I will just conclude this little tangent with the fact that I was pretty hopeless for a long time, but I was always desperate to find solutions to my mental well-being, and I persevered, and it took some years, but I ended up finding solutions, like solid solutions, and I have not really felt depressed at all for at least like for 4.5 years now, which is a very long stretch of time for me. I've never had this long of a stretch without feeling depressed at all, except for when I was very young. So yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and mental health is very important and all of that. So I'm just gonna move on to the next thing that I was talking about, what I was going to talk about, which is yeah, I've been slowly getting back to productivity. I can't say that I'm like super productive right now, just gonna be honest. I think I did feel pretty burnt out, and I'm not gonna lie, like the stuff with my parents was part of it, but also the thing with the kitten like really kind of took me out. I think more than I don't know, like I was trying to bounce back like too quickly, and then I ended up being really unproductive for way longer than I think is acceptable. But you know, it is what it is. Yeah, it was a really sad time. It was so sad. Sometimes I'm still kind of like upset by it now and then, but these things happen and you gotta just move on. And I think my problem was that things were kind of happening at the same time, and one of the other reasons why I had a hard time concentrating and like keeping up with my schedule is that there was a lot of changing circumstances around like where I live, whether it was like when it was gonna get listed, like when the condo was gonna get listed, like if people were gonna come like take a look. You know how things like that can be pretty hectic, and like having to keep up a certain appearance for the way the condo looks if it does get listed. And a couple of people did come by, but then my mom changed her mind about when she was gonna it was this whole thing, and it's just like it's another one of those things that were a little bit destabilizing for me. But I understand that also I happen to be in a category of people that are very easily destabilized by external circumstances when it comes to like my dwelling. I've always had like this desperate need for a peaceful like room, at least a room. That's the minimum requirement, where I can get away undisturbed. I know that that's definitely too much to expect, because you never know what's gonna happen, and you know, things come around unexpectedly. But you know, it's weird, throughout my life I've had so many nightmares about like that take place in houses, and where usually like my family or like somebody is like coming into this house, or like trying to move me into a hallway, or trying to mess with the space, or trying to move all the furniture around, like, or just forcing me to pack and leave, like stuff like that. I always had so many nightmares surrounding an unstable dwelling. Like it's so stupid. I don't even know. I mean, if you read the text in my previous video, you'll probably know like where that comes from psychologically. But I will say that I've had these nightmares actually even before I moved into this condo, so I guess that was just a premonition. But anyways, that was a little bit off the rails. But anyways, I'm glad I'm just able to even talk to the voiceover at all, because I've had such a block for like the past 2 weeks that I'm glad that I can get something out at long last. But yeah, this video is basically just me doing a warm-up. So I was very adamant on doing a nicer sketchbook page drawing, which I did, and that will actually be the next video that I share with you guys. But this video is the warm-up session that preceded that nice quote-unquote sketchbook drawing that I did. So I was using a Studio Graphite reference pack. It's one that I've been waiting to use because I like the subject matter, and I was just downloading it, and while I was waiting for the download, I decided to do a little doodle of Fiona, as you can see over here. Just random doodle, and it was really fun. I almost never do stuff like that these days. Usually when I do warm-ups, it's like anatomy studies, or sometimes I'll do like fashion photo studies from Pinterest. But it's been a while since I've just sat down and drawn something completely random without like referencing anything or thinking about anything. So that was kind of fun. It was also in a style that I haven't drawn in a long time. It's more like a, anime type of, I don't know. Anyways, I'm not gonna try to describe what it looks like, but that's the context. So I was doing this little doodle while I was waiting for the downloads to finish, and then I did a little warm-up session drawing 3 figures, and that will be the rest of this video. It was a lot of fun, and I am glad I managed to do a warm-up session that actually did not end with me going to sleep, and instead I did go on to do an actual like nice sketchbook drawing afterwards. So looking forward to sharing that with you guys in my next video. But there's a couple of other things that I wanted to mention or talk about here, and one of those things is that this weekend I am going to be at a local comic arts festival called TCAF, Toronto Comic Arts Festival is the acronym. And yeah, it's a lovely little convention that takes place at the Toronto Reference Library, and if any of you guys are local or if any of you guys are attending, I will be there, and you can most likely find me in the, I don't know if they have, whatever, I'm just gonna publish my my space, my table number on Instagram, and later on in the community section on YouTube as well, so it'll be easier to find. But just thought I'd put that out there. I've been so terrible with keeping up with letting people know what I'm up to or where I'm going to be. So yes, that's happening. And I also want to tell you guys, I was really looking forward to doing this big thing where I would do like a celebratory post that my art book is officially out and all that stuff, but it's not out yet, as far as I can tell. I thought it was gonna be April 24th. I don't know. I asked 3D Total, and they weren't 100% sure because things have been really weird with like shipping lately, and a lot of things get delayed. I think it's a pretty busy time, so they were just trying to gauge the date based on the book shipment, and so that's why it was fluctuating a little bit. So last time I checked it was April 24th, but I checked again on the website. It said that I think the book is going to release or ship the pre-orders that are not the Kickstarter orders. Those I think will ship a little bit later, like in May. So I'm assuming that it's going to be officially released in May. I'm not sure. I'm gonna talk to them about it. So yeah, I'll have to hold off on making that celebratory post. But while I'm on the topic, in case any of you guys don't know, I do have a new art book coming up. It is the one that I had the Kickstarter for last year. It's called Prism, The Art Journey of Cosmic Spectrum, and it's this big, nice hardcover, beautiful book that just looks perfect. I love how it turned out. It's got all these nice finishes. I'm just way too excited for this book to finally start shipping out. But yeah, if you haven't, if you didn't know about it, you can pre-order it in a link through my description. From 3D Total Publishing. And so moving on, yes, so another thing that I was going to talk about was what I've been up to, like other than just trying to keep up with circumstances and trying to pack and clean every other day and etc. I have been reading quite a bit. I find that I've been really noticing the past couple of years that my attention span just keeps getting worse and worse, and my ability to focus is also taking a hit. I find that I have this really annoying habit of trying to do more than one thing at the same time most of the time, which is pretty terrible because there are a lot of things that, like, I do think I would probably maybe get better results if I just focused on the actual tasks instead of trying to do multiple things at once, like multitasking essentially. I guess a lot of the things that I do, I can get away with it. And by multitasking, I specifically mean like I like to listen to a YouTube video or some sort of podcast in the background while I'm doing something else, like editing footage or doing a warm-up page, which is fine. I think that's one of the cases in which it's fine. But like it does sort of start to bleed into other things like doing illustrations. I don't know. In a lot of cases, I think it's okay, like for me to draw and listen to something at the same time. I mean, it's not super different from how I've always drawn while listening to music or whatnot. I've never been one of those people that just draw in complete silence. I don't know. I don't really like that. It's kind of eerie. I like to have something in the background. I've probably mentioned before that in my experience, there are certain tasks that do require silence. I think one of those tasks, for sure, is writing. I cannot listen to music while I write. It just doesn't work. Like, unless I pick a song that just makes the most sense emotionally with a scene, and then I keep it on repeat. But even that, like, tends to throw me off somewhat. So I cannot listen to music while I write. And the other task that I do that I cannot be distracted at the same time as is doing storyboards / thumbnails for comics. Yeah, that requires so much brain power that any sort of music just makes it 10 times harder. And plus, I think it is actually about the fact that storyboarding or thumbnailing for comic for me, it requires a lot of emotional energy, because it's kind of like doing a lot of things at the same time, one of which is trying to jump into characters' shoes when it comes to their mood and how they're feeling and how they're delivering certain lines. That's what helps me get get the gist of the gestures or like the body language down. And that is such a like mentally strenuous task, and I think listening to music really messes with it, because music is so emotionally charged that unless it matches up exactly what I'm trying to storyboard or thumbnail, it just doesn't work and it's a distraction. Anyways, long story short, so usually when it comes to those specific tasks, my go-to thing to do is to put on the sounds of a thunderstorm / rain, and that helps me focus a lot. And it's a kind of white noise that like will keep me focused and not so, because sometimes if it's too silent, I can actually get distracted by the silence or like get distracted by tiny noises. So I need some sort of sound, if that makes any sense. Yeah, but aside from that, I have noticed that even when I'm trying to watch something on my computer, like a YouTube video or something, my hand will just grab my phone and I will try to also do something else on my phone. It's like, and sometimes when it gets really bad, I will get addicted to some stupid mind-numbing like mobile game that I will have this uncontrollable urge to pick up every time I'm sitting and my hands aren't busy. It's terrible. And at times when that is the worst and I can't help myself, I have this thing where I've deleted this game from my phone about 100 times, and I just keep installing it over and over again, to the point where at some point I Google whether you could like permanently ban an app from your phone, because that would really help me. I have been staying strong, and I have not. It's this mobile game called Triple Town. I just got addicted to it like several years ago, and I keep reinstalling it every time I have these like, I don't know, flare-ups of being unable to focus. But anyways, I have not reinstalled it in a few weeks, probably in like a month or something. So I've been doing pretty well. But yeah, I was gonna say that, I mean, this whole rant about being distracted is basically leading up to the fact that the only activity that I can reliably engage in without getting distracted is reading, which is nice. And I love just how simple it is, how I can just sit down in a chair and just read, and that's it. I don't need to listen to music. I don't need to do some other shit at the same time. It's very relaxing, and I think it does actually help me declutter my brain quite a bit, or at least stop it from constantly feeling like it's buzzing and it's overworked. Because when I get slightly stressed out, I do kind of tend to head in that direction where my thoughts will get very jumpy sometimes. Like sometimes I'll get it almost feels like my thoughts will start darting from one to another, and then it's kind of like this white noise situation, like a noise screen, like a TV malfunctioning or channels flipping too fast. Anyways, so yeah, in order to quell my mind, I do like to read, and I have been reading quite a bit lately. And so a few videos ago, what was it? Yeah, I did this screenshot study from the second season of the Netflix show called Shadow and Bone, which some of you probably have heard of, and if you don't know, it's based on a book series. It's a trilogy, I believe, Shadow and Bone trilogy. Anyways, so when I was talking about the screenshot or the screen cap study, and a lot of people, maybe I asked or something about the Six of Crows characters because they appear in the Shadow and Bone series, but they're not actually in the original trilogy. Anyways, a lot of people recommended me to read the Six of Crows duology, and I did do that over the past few weeks. I read both books, Six of Crows and The Crooked Kingdom, and I gotta say I enjoyed them quite a bit. It was a lot of fun. I tend to be like one of those people who reads things very critically, so there are definitely a lot of things that I noticed that weren't, that I thought were not super great. So I have a lot of criticism towards it, but without like getting into that, I will say that I did really enjoy reading the series, and I think that if I read those books when I was like in my mid-teens, even like basically between like 13 and 18 or something like that, I would have probably been absolutely obsessed with the books, because it kind of hit like all the right spots for the stuff that I used to absolutely adore and still kind of do, probably to a lesser degree now, because I don't know, I definitely was more obsessive about stuff like that when I was younger. But in my teens, one of my favorite things was like the whole gang thing, and the heists as well, but just like delinquent characters that have their sob stories. I don't know, I'm a sucker for that kind of thing, and I think it was done so well in those books. So yeah, I would totally recommend. Like, I think it's considered YA, and I do like, I'll read YA once in a blue moon. I kind of am vaguely curious sometimes, but I have not read that much. Typically it's very different from the stuff that I usually read, so it was kind of interesting to read something different. And yeah, I thought it was very enjoyable. I think it's pretty solid. And as far as things I hear about YA novels, it seems to be like better than average, a lot better than average by YA standards. So yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked the characters. I think there was maybe a little bit a little too many characters, I will say, but overall, yeah, I liked it a lot, and thank you to those of you who recommended it to me. And that being said, I was kind of like, there's a lot of things that I actually really like about Leigh Bardugo's writing style, so I wanted to check out the recent books that I think she's working on a new trilogy right now. The first book in the new trilogy is called Ninth House, and I believe when I was asking, or like when I was talking about dark academia, or asking, maybe I asked for recommendations at some point for dark academia themed books, I saw that title come up a few times, and so it was kind of in the back of my mind, and I figured, once I'm currently on the Leigh Bardugo train, like I just read 2 of her books and I do like her writing style, so I might as well just check out Ninth House. So I did, And yeah, you know, I kind of have some mixed feelings about Ninth House. I think I enjoyed reading it, but it was more like entertainment in terms of like watching a movie. I did not feel I'm gonna try to talk about it without doing any spoilers. So I think people do compare it to Harry Potter quite a bit. It's like and I will say that my overall assessment of that book, I would describe it as like a super edgy like Harry Potter, basically. It's not really, but there are certain similarities, and it definitely hits the dark academia aesthetic. Like if Slytherin had its own whole thing, like that would be Ninth House, basically, is the vibe. And at times I didn't necessarily find it jarring that it was a lot more mature than the author's other books, because they were YA and this one is not a YA book. But I feel like in some ways it's trying too hard to be mature, is the vibe that I got personally. But, you know, like I said, I did enjoy it, but I started reading the second book in the series kind of almost begrudgingly, because I just wanted to know whether a character would show up, because the character was dangled in the entirety of the first book, and I happen to like that character more than any other character, so I just wanted to see if that would actually pay off in the second book, which I believe it will. I'm about halfway through now. Nothing of significance has happened yet, but we shall see. You know, I'm considering doing like a full review, because I do really like talking about books in terms of things I liked and things I didn't like, and it's one of my favorite types of content to watch on YouTube personally. Like, I'm a big fan of watching people rant about why they hate certain TV shows or whatever. Like, super entertaining to me. But anyways, yeah, so I feel like I finally was able to I don't know, lift the curse of being completely stuck when it comes to doing voiceovers. So yeah, thankfully I am back to normal now, and like I said, I do have another video coming pretty soon in the pipeline, and I'm very excited to share it with you guys. And it's a little bit more of a finished page, unlike these recent videos that I've been doing. And hopefully I will find my footing with productivity soon, although probably not super soon, because I am moving in like 2 weeks, which is very, very, it's just, yeah, it's looming for sure. And I'm very excited about TCAF, so I'm gonna be a little bit busy leading up to that. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna be at TCAF. If any of you guys are gonna be there, I know chances are slim, but I thought I'd just put it out there. I would love to see anybody in person. And thank you so much again for all the sweet comments in my previous video. I'll see if I can go back and answer some more of them. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I know a lot of you guys probably prefer my voiceovers, and I just wanted to reassure you that I also prefer doing voiceovers. So I'm not like planning to change up my entire channel and just like do text or anything like that. It takes way longer to do the text, and I don't really know how to pace it. So yeah, you're stuck with my voiceovers. So yeah, there you go. Anyways, yeah, thank you again for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one, and I will just let this one play out because there's a few more minutes of the footage left. Alright, bye guys!